So I'll hand it over. Please take it away.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yes. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Andrew Long. Username is Ohana United. I'm an English Wikivoyage administrator, and today I'll do a very quick presentation about how Wikivoyage uses Wikidata, but also at the same time could also contribute to Wikidata because we have a tool or like a plugin that enables the cross dissemination between the two projects. And my presentation is primarily talking about English Wikivoyage, but it would also equally apply to other languages as well. And I also have some examples where, especially on some of the drawbacks, because Wikivoyage is definitely not as well populated than, say, Wikidata or Wikipedia. So that also means we tend to have a smaller group of editors and also less people that have the technical know-how to tackle the high and very in-depth IT intensive projects. So I will quickly show you, in case you are unfamiliar with what Wikivoyage is and what are the layout is, I will also do a quick demo of how Wikivoyage uses Wikidata and to synchronize the information, and what are some of the recent MediaWiki updates in the past a year or two that has been causing some issues that are breaking the tool. So what is Wikivoyage in general? It's a free travel guide, similar to what I would often compare that to, like Lonely Planets, but without any of the advertising. We also tend to have do a really good job of removing touts, so people that try to spam or advertise their own businesses, hotels, taxi services, or restaurants on the site. So we do a pretty good job. And what listings are is they're basically used to standardize the information presented to the travelers on attractions, like places you want to visit, activities like say like skydiving, shops that you might be interested in purchasing items for your family members at home, or really good restaurants that we recommend, bars, and also accommodations, so places that you want to sleep. Here's just a really quick example of what the different groups and categories of the listings look like. So on the top, you have like shops for a very remote location in northern Canada. Restaurant, it is the only restaurant in town. There's also a pub, and also there's also one hotel. So they really group it up into really nice categories that helps the travelers to quickly identify, and using also, for example, different colors to map out what the listing is about. Because we could see, for example, if we see the same color, then they are all in the same group, and also there's also different categories for people traveling, say like an airport or a train or a bus station. Then they would also have a different marker, and all of these also get displayed onto like a dynamic map overlaid on top of OpenStreetMap. I will show that in the demo in just 1 second. So how do we update these listings to add a new listing and update one, or even remove it? There's always the using the wiki markup way, but a lot of times most people, including myself, would use what's called a listing editor. So it's a community built and community maintained tool that looks like what you see over here. And so basically, instead of working with the templates and then call the parameters, and then you also have to look up whether a particular parameter is it's working. For example, you would not have a parameter for check-in and check-out time for say a train station, because train stations do not have check-in and check-out. But on the other hand, you would have you definitely would have you have price across most of these attractions or hotels, restaurants, etc. And we also have, for example, the website, the contact email, phone numbers, latitude and longitude, as well as any if there's like a Wikipedia page, for example, some of the really famous restaurant or really popular attractions, hotels, they might also have a Wikipedia entry. But what I want to quickly point out is there's this really nice feature available, which if you click on it, it would actually look at if there is like a Wikidata entry, it would actually try to sync up the information that is, it checks to see if there is a field available or a field missing in either project. It would actually ask you and look like, say, hey, there is an email for this hotel in Wikivoyage, but there is no no email on Wikidata. Which one do you want to select? If I select on the radio button and click on the Wikidata, it will remove the Wikivoyage email. Say, for example, if it's out of date or for some other reason. However, in this case, we want to bring the information from Wikivoyage contributors into Wikidata. So we could click the radio button over here and then click as soon as I click the submit button, it would automatically write an entry into Wikidata and basically fetch the email from Wikivoyage and enter it into Wikidata. So you don't have to go into the Wikidata and then either copy and paste or you type it in, which might introduce an error. So there's multiple fields that you could sync it up for, and you could see all of these are marked with the Wikidata symbol in the listing editor. So website, email, the latitude and longitude, the Wikipedia page, as well as if there's an image attached to the Wikidata item. Occasionally, we could even it's also beyond just Wikidata. So if the entry is not if there's no Wikidata entry, I could still upload a picture onto Commons and then link the image directly here, bypassing Wikidata and also Wikipedia. So now we'll quickly jump onto the demo. And the one that I purposely picked in advance is Narita, which many of you are familiar with associated with the airport that most people will fly in when they're going to Tokyo. So this is Narita, the city that is just outside of the airport. And what I want to quickly show you is we use all of those listing editors and the listings. Whenever you see the latitude and longitude, this is what's being populated onto the dynamic map. So you could zoom, you could move around, you could zoom in, you could click on them and actually, if there is an item associated in Wikidata, it would also show a picture of that item. So it's very handy. You could also enlarge it. These pins are, like I said, they are all associated with the same color. So, for example, as we saw in the presentation, all the orangey brown dots are all like restaurants, and all of the dark blue ones are hotels, and the light blue ones, which I didn't show you, these are the tourist attraction locations. But what I want to quickly show you in action is how to use the syncing, how the syncing works. So I have entered a museum nearby, and I have entered a lot of the information this month. But I noticed there's actually an entry on Wikidata. So what I could, but however, I am not confident with the actual location on the map of this museum. So what I could do is simply click on the edit button, which is unfortunately only on the desktop and laptop. It is not available in the mobile view due to technical reasons. So now I opened up the listing editor, and what I could simply do is I would either type in the Q value of this entry of this item, or I could also just type in the copy and paste the entire label for this item. So let's just do this. So I will copy the Q item. It would say like the museum that deals with the issues surrounding the construction of the Narita airport. Does that sound right? Yep, that sounds like I found the right item. I click on it. Now I could select the item that says sync share fields to and from Wikidata, and then I could do either a quick fetch, or if I want to go, so quick fetch basically looks for, is there an item from Wikidata that is absent on Wikivoyage? But if I want to be going into a little bit more detailed level, I want to pick and choose if there's any discrepancy, then I will click on the left-hand side. So it checks for me and say, okay, there is coordinates from Wikidata that is absent in Wikivoyage. Should I grab the item? I say, yes, let's do it. Click submit. Now it automatically populated the latitude, longitude, and the image of the item that is present in Wikidata. And then I could just click submit. And what in the background does is the listing editor will automatically convert this kind of the interface into the wiki markup. So it is also one very user-friendly way to introduce someone who is completely new to editing. Either they have no prior experience editing like a wiki interface, or they have some experience editing like in comments, in Wikidata, or in Wikipedia, then they could easily do this. So now that the change has gone through, we see that it now has it now has a latitude and longitude item, and also it's also associated with the Wikidata item seen with the Wikidata logo over here. And we could, for example, just click on it, and we could easily see, yep, it is now connected with onto the dynamic map that we were just using. Okay, so I'll just jump back onto the slide. This is probably my last slide here. As I mentioned, it doesn't really work in mobile view. We are trying to get it, but there's still some technical blockages for the listing editor. Another major issue, I would describe it, relatively major, is really hard to check whether Wikivoyage or Wikidata has the more accurate or more recent data if you're syncing, and if there is discrepancy between both fields and both projects have a slightly different number. Could be an email, could be a contact phone number, could be the website. And because this the listing editor is community maintained, it has a really low what's called the buzz factor, i.e., if one person or two people quit the project, then all of a sudden the editor is slowly getting out of sync. It might also have some issues because now it's not maintained, and we noticed that in smaller Wikivoyages, so i.e. Projects that are not English, not Spanish, and not German, the editor tends to be getting less frequent updates, and this really limits the usefulness for Wikidata in these projects, whether it is these projects feeding data into Wikidata or Wikidata feeding information like coordinates and emails to these Wikivoyage projects. And moreover, in the past year and a half, there has been multiple updates to the MediaWiki parser, and it often breaks the tool. So it ties in with the community maintained part. When I was creating this presentation last week, the French Wikivoyage, the listing editor does not work at all. It's just, you click on it, it doesn't do anything. So it's broken, it can't be used. So it completely, there's no way to have a very seamless way of connecting Wikidata with any French Wikivoyage listings at the moment. So that kind of shows in like what I do in terms of using Wikidata and also Wikivoyage. Please feel free to reach out to me. You could reach out to me through my username. I also have an email enabled if you want to leave a message not on my user talk page. So thank you very much, and I'll glad to take some questions if I have some time.
Thank you so much, Andrew. That was really interesting. Um, Sotho in the chat asks if Wikivoyage does not use live data and Wikidata is only used when editing or updating an entry. Are there plans for the infobox route and to fetch data directly from Wikidata?
Um, yes, you could. The example that I showed was I actually created an entry in anticipation of this presentation. So when you create the item directly, yes, you could also directly select to get the data from Wikidata directly. So you don't have to type in all the information like after the fact. So I purposely didn't want to link the data just for this presentation. But yes, you could definitely start that when you're creating a listing or when you're creating a page with, for example, if you want to list a region with multiple towns and cities, you could also link it directly. And we do use we call the Q item directly, and it will automatically plot those towns and cities in a region onto the dynamic map. Does that answer the question?
I hope so. Maybe Sotho, if you have any follow-up, you could post in the chat or unmute yourself. Actually, I want to ask a question: Is as the listings they can only be edited like on a like a single listing by listing basis, or is there any thoughts or ideas or possibility to sort of do like batch edits like you would with quick statements?
We have not tried any quick statements, at least to the best of my knowledge. The reason being, each of the language has their each of the Wikivoyage language has their own listing editor. So, and because they might be actually running on slightly different versions because of how active it is being maintained, it's very difficult to use a quick statement that would apply, and it might even break some of the. It might not work well with some of the languages. And another thing we want to focus on is we also have some items that are definitely not necessarily time sensitive, but it's actually like a tombstone data, like how much does it cost for a meal at a restaurant, and those will change because of inflation over time. Yet, if you see the listing, if you see each of the listing, almost all of them would actually mention like when it was last updated. So we don't really want to have the website that is updated more recently using a quick statement, but then like the how much it costs for a night in a hotel, or how much does it cost for the admission for an attraction, gets out of sync. So we really want to make sure that the people are focusing on the accuracy of those contents. And usually, most people will be editing these information one at a time. I just don't see there's a lot of changes once it's synced. Like it's not gonna, like a restaurant is not gonna really change all that often. Those for the location, and the website tends to stay relatively the same. So I don't see that as a need for like really frequent, very like updated once every month or updated once every year kind of thing.
Sure. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Nemorales, would you like to ask a question about the Wikidata query GUI? Perhaps this is unrelated to the current topic. That's probably why.
Yeah. Yep, no problem. And yeah, feel free to reach out to me or get your hands started on Wikivoyage. I'm pretty sure our folks are more than welcome you all, whether in English or in any of the existing language of the Wikivoyage, because we try to make it as seamless as possible. And one of the interesting thing, if I may just quickly mention it, like 30 seconds spiel, is we actually encourage people's opinions, so there is no like neutral point of view. We just want to make sure that like the commentary is fair. So you will see, for example, some of the listings might actually say like, well, this is the food for a certain item is good, or this hotel may be the only one available in town, but it's bad. So you kind of have to you just have to pick your options carefully. So so this is one of the interesting thing, and something that we could we actually include in the description of any listing.
Great, thank you. Actually, because since you mentioned that it's completely broken for French Wikivoyage, is that a question you want to bring over to the clinic that we're about to start in a few minutes?
Sure, that's a good segue.
Oh, and finally, is there any documentation or some help pages that that people can be referred to sort of get to know the listing editor, like a tutorial or step by step, or just read up about it?
Yeah, it is very simple. Let me share my screen again. All right. So you could simply type in Wikivoyage and then listings. Or if you want to access the listing editor, you just type in listing editor. So it would also give you like how it looks like. And in the top page, then you would definitely have seen some of the complaints. Listing editor doesn't work anymore. Listing editor doesn't work again. So these are all the times when the parser broke, and it causes a lot of people complaining about it. Like, it's broken again. Like what's going on? So yeah, so it's like listing does not run just a few months ago. So yeah, it's definitely a pain point, and something that would preclude further integration between Wikivoyage and Wikidata. I know it's not Wikidata related, but it presents quite a huge barrier. But if you want to find out more, you could visit Wikivoyage listing editor, and there's also the link that gives a much more in-depth detail about what is listings.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Andrew. Then we have 5 minutes before the next session, and since it's going to be like a bit of a discussion and freeform question and answer session, if anyone has any final questions on this Wikivoyage session or the previous session, please feel free to post in the chat, or we can put it over to the Etherpad. And I would suggest that we just take a quick break, maybe stretch our legs or get a drink before we start the next session with Lydia for the Wikidata Clinic.